we probably are not going to talk about Thursday Night Football much on the Monday show. However, the worst game of all time, arguably, and its outcome makes it a notable exception because I have been I've yet to see such a thorough roasting of a starting quarterback of a Super Bowl winning starting caliber, or Super Bowl winning starting caliber quarterback. Um, I have yet to see that occur until what happened with Russell Wilson on Thursday Night Football. And part of this is, he's brought this on himself to a degree. I am beginning to start to feel bad for him. But at the same time, if you don't develop relationships with your teammates, if you try to make yourself a corporate entity of one, if you're more interested in your branding than you are in the quality of play, and you also try to leverage yourself for a massive contract, which is what he did, well, you got to back that up on the field. You do. And Wilson opens himself up to criticism because his play has been not just bad, it's been like dog shit. It's been terrible. It's been bottom of the league, even though he has, I'm hard pressed to think of five other starting quarterbacks who've played worse than him. One of them was on the opposite side of the field in Matt Ryan. But Russell Wilson has played terribly. And Nathaniel Hackett stands there on the sideline, like constantly like a deer in the headlights. And they were supposed to be the two chefs in the kitchen to let Russ cook. But both of them are so out of their depth and in over their head that both of them are just looking at the other like, what do we do? Do I turn this? Do I press this button? And I honestly put more of the blame on Russell Wilson because you see how that game went. And, Wilson had two interceptions that were inexcusable. He threw an interception close to the end zone, which was to nobody. I guess it was on third down. They could have gotten a field goal there, but he tried to force it and he just heaved it up in the air and no one was in the area. And then the other interception was much more costly, which is when they were driving down the field. It was 9-6 at this time, and it was at the 2-minute warning, and Russell Wilson threw an interception in the end zone, meaning the Colts were able to drive back down and score a field goal, which sent it to overtime. The Colts have been unable to get in the end zone all night. All night. So throwing an interception there is the absolutely worst possible thing that you can do, because if you went up by 2 scores, by 6 points, chances are, with the way that the Broncos defense was playing, but more importantly, the way that the Colts offense was playing, that you were going to win that game, because that would have forced them to have to score on a touchdown. And they weren't going to be able to do that because of how the Colts looked. So he single-handedly lost that game for them, let alone him not seeing KJ Hamler in overtime. And I know that he had a shoulder issue. I mean, Matthew Berry of NBC Sports Now called this. I was listening to his show, and he was like, in a few days, someone's going to leak something to Schefter about how Russell Wilson has been dealing with a really tough shoulder injury, and this is why he's been unable to play to the heights that he should be playing. Well, dude, he was still playing. He was still making throws. That has nothing to. He didn't run the ball or just hustle to make plays with his legs, which is what you would do if you were dealing with a shoulder to that extent. And I'm sure he is dealing with something, but that is no excuse to miss KJ Hamler either, and to force the balls, force these throws, and not make smart decisions. So here is some audio of this is Kyle Brandt on NFL Network, and I only play this because, this is the way that the rest of the NFL perceives him, and other more player-friendly guys perceive him, because, Kyle Brandt, he's a mixed bag in terms of the takes that he provides, but this is Russell Wilson's reputation around the league.
Also a former Real World cast member, Kyle Brandt.
Yeah.
This is going places really fast. The last play is meaningful, not in just that it was KJ Hamler or not that he missed. It's the reaction afterwards from Hamler. It's spiking the helmets. It's that I don't know when Russell Wilson turned into Mitch Trubisky, but I wish he would turn into Geno Smith so they could win a game.
It's a take.
Okay?
Right.
Because Geno makes that play 10 times out of 10. And then afterwards, they got a 4th and 1. They want to go for it. And look at that. That is a teammate that is on national television, that's at home. Afterwards, it's just perfect. They pass when maybe they should have run. I think Russell Wilson is one of the least authentic personalities we have in this league. I think Russell Wilson is a poser. And that doesn't mean he's a bad person. I actually think he's a good person. I think he tries to be something that he's not. And when you make the $245 million, you either got to be a really great guy with the locker room who loves you, or you got to be an amazing player. Brady, who makes half of what Russell's making, is both. Rodgers, MVP.
Okay, pause
Patrick
it for a
Mahomes.
sec. Brady's not both. I'm sorry, Kyle Brandt. Everything that you hear about Tom Brady it's okay. Bradley his water went down the wrong pipe if you're hearing that. But Brady doesn't talk to anybody in the locker room if they're not Gronk. So that's not the case, but you have to kind of give Brady fellatio on a daily basis if you work for any NFL-affiliated organization. So that's what that is. But the rest of what he's saying makes a lot of sense, but keep going. But I like his take here, honestly.
Both. Allen, people love him. He's amazing. Kyler, we'll find out. Russell Wilson, first of all, the NFL, the Broncos fan base has no history with him. They have no allegiance to him. This is not a Seahawks thing that they drafted him. They grew up with him. He's their guy. None of that. I work the NFL honors. I work the red carpet. Kelsey comes by, Rodgers comes by. Russell Wilson shows up with his sunglasses and his wife, and I think they're Jay-Z and Beyonce, and they will literally put their hand up and say, no, we're not talking. Why? Because you think you're that cool and you're that famous and you're that amazing and everything is so perfect. That does not work in a locker room unless you are really good or really, really good guy. It just doesn't work. $245 million, that can come unraveled fast. Mm-hmm. And especially when you're missing throws like that and you're putting up 9 points in a nationally televised game. Look out. This could come off the rails. It could.
Well, it already has. I thought that was a terrific insight into how a lot of people feel about Russell Wilson in the league, who is more brand than player right now, and he's not able to make his reads. He's not seeing the field whatsoever, and you got to back that up when not only do you make $240 million and you have that kind of contract, but when they traded assets for you, and you literally made a huge stink on your way out the door in Seattle, which looks like a better team than you guys right now. Their defense is pretty bad, but other than that, Geno's playing really well, and I'm really happy for Geno Smith, who got way too much shit for replacing Eli Manning for that one time, breaking his Iron Man streak, which, was not his fault. The coach decided to make that decision. Ben McAdoo, by the way.
And getting punched because he owed his teammate like $400, but... Wait,
was that oh God, I can't even remember if that was Shermer or McAdoo at this point, but regardless, this is what happens when you become more brand than person and you lose your locker room. And it's not like Russell Wilson had relationships going into this year. He's a newcomer to that city. He has to build up that equity himself, and he's basically completely abdicating that responsibility.